Yes, we were speaking about O. Henry, a very popular American writer, author. He had started a humorous weekly. Humorous weekly means a newspaper which was full of humor and comic stories. But that venture failed. And so what he did, he started working with another newspaper agency. Yes, welcome.
Sir,
Yes.
somebody is there in waiting room.
Okay. Yeah, I'll admit. One second. Yes. So his name, remember William Sidney Porter, but you can remember him as O. Henry. He had started a humorous weekly, and the name of that weekly means the paper, newspaper, which used to come once in a week, the Rolling Stone, but that venture failed. And that's why he joined the Houston Post. Okay, Houston Post. He started working with another newspaper agency, and he worked as a reporter. He worked as a columnist and occasional cartoonist also. So some cartoon also he used to write, do in the papers. He used to write the columns, and he worked as a reporter. Now, after seeing about O. Henry, let us see about the lesson which we are going to see. The story. The story, The Cop and the Anthem, is one of O. Henry's well-known stories. Very popular, the stories. To describe his style of writing, people have often used the term smile with tears, which implies his twisted way of thoughts and endings in almost every story. So there are many different authors who have, different kind of taste. Some of them write on science, some of write on fiction, some of them write on very different genres of the literature. But here, O. Henry's stories were called as the stories with smile with tears. Means he used to use a twisted way, and his endings are very different. And the whole story, maybe you may smile, you may laugh a while, but when you come to the end, you may be in tears. So such kind of stories he used to write, and often his stories were called as stories with smile with tears. Now this story is also something like that. The ending is very different. It has a twist at the ending, at the climax. So we will see that. In the story, the main character is Soapy. Remember, the main character, his name is Soapy. He is a vagabond, means he is a homeless wanderer. He has no home, he is jobless. He's just wandering here and there the whole day. And a person with criminal background. Yes, naturally, when he's a wanderer, he has no job, he has no house to stay. So he may be involving in some criminal things also, like stealing things. And then he has been caught by the police. He's been put in the prison. So all such background Soapy has. He has a criminal background, and he's a wanderer. He's a vagabond. He makes different plans to re-enter the prison as he has no shelter to protect himself from the severe winter. Now, yes, there is severe winter there, and he has no home, he has no shelter. So what he's doing actually, he wants to go to the prison where he can get at least food for 2 times. He will get shelter there, and he could make friendship with some of the prisoners there. So to go in the prison, he is doing some mischievous acts. But the story ends in an unexpected way. I told you, O. Henry stories always end with unexpected way. You think something and the ending is something else. Ironical ending it has. This is called as irony. You think something and it comes out to be something. So this story is also like that. So we are going to see what Soapy to go to the prison, and how his different mischievous acts doesn't allow him to go to the prison. And we will see in the end what he decides and what actually happens. So the ending is very different, and the whole story is also very interesting. We are going to see the different places where he's going to do different mischievous acts, so that police will catch him and they will put him in the prison. So that at least 3 months he will be in the prison, and he will protect himself from the severe cold outside. And he will get food also to eat in the prison, and he will get some friends there over there. But in the end, what happens, we will see. O. Henry has depicted, means has shown Soapy's futile attempts. Means Soapy is doing so many attempts to go to the prison, but they all have become futile. Futile means they have become unsuccessful. He has not succeeded in doing any attempt successfully so that he could go to the prison. uh, to arrested in a very humorous way, in a very humorous manner. He tries to literally sometimes he himself tries to tell that he has committed the crime, but still the police don't believe him, and that is how we get a humorous, manner, a kind of humor we can see in the lesson. He himself does the crime, and he himself tells the police. So that you could see some kind of humor in that. So we are going to see what are the different attempts he's doing, and finally what happens. The Cop and the Anthem is about freedom and confinement. Yes, this story you have to remember. This story is about freedom and confinement. Freedom means muktata, it means free. You want to be free, and confinement means to go to the prison. Okay, so these two opposite things have been told in the story, freedom and confinement. He wants to go to the prison, but he's set free. And when he wants to be free, he is asked to go to the prison. So this kind of, irony we are going to see. Freedom, confinement, confinement, freedom. In the beginning, initially, Soapy feels that there is freedom from miseries and worries in confinement. So in the beginning, he says that it is better to go to the prison, where at least you will get shelter, you will get food, you will get your same category people also to make friendship. So he likes confinement in the beginning. He likes to go in the prison. He likes to be jailed. But later on, what happens, we will see. The notes of Anthem transform him from within, and he resolves to work hard. Now, at the end, suddenly he hears some anthem. He listens to some prayer songs, and that prayer song has transformed him to a very, very pious person, to a very good person. He resolves, he makes a resolution. No, now I will not make any of the crimes. I will not commit any crime. I will do good work. I will be a civilized person. I will be a good citizen. But his fate take him back to the prison. Soapy faces the irony of fate. I told you, irony of fate means you decide something, and your fate means your naseeb, your luck takes you somewhere else. So this irony of fate we are going to see in the story, as the moment he realizes the real freedom lies in the virtuous life. Virtuous means honest life, good life. Virtues are good things, and vices are bad things. So when he realizes that freedom lies in the virtuous life, freedom is actually there when you do good things, and when you lead a normal life, he is taken into confinement. He is taken to the jail. In the beginning, he wants to go to the jail, but he is set free. And at the end, when he wants to be free, when he realizes after listening to the prayer song that freedom lies in virtuous life, freedom is there when you do good to others, when you lead a normal life, when you lead a good life. Freedom is actually there, and he wants to be free, but that time he is taken to the prison. Just a minute, somebody is there in the waiting room. We'll see. Okay, so I hope everyone have understood the outline of the story. The story is about Sophie, who has a criminal background, who's a vagabond, who's a wanderer, who has no job, who has no house or shelter to stay, and then how he plans to go to the prison, but in the end, he realizes that the happiness is in virtuous life, in good life, and freedom lies there. But that time, he's taken to the prison. So this irony very beautifully O. Henry has penned down. So we are going to see the story line by line, and I'll also tell you the meanings of the new words, and I will explain you the story also line by line. Okay, now we'll go to the story. I hope you all have understood about O. Henry, then you have understood about Soapy. So let us begin. The cop and the anthem. Cop is the police and anthem is the prayer song. How the prayer song transforms Soapy, we are going to see at the end. Soapy left his bench and rolled out of the square and across the level sea of asphalt where Broadway and Fifth Avenue flowed together. Up Broadway he turned and stopped at a luxurious cafe. Now, Soapy is a wanderer, he's a vagabond. So he is lying down on a bench. He's lying down on a bench, and now he gets up. He left his bench. He gets up and starts walking. Strolled means he started walking out of the square and across the level sea of asphalt means across the road where Broadway and Fifth Avenue flow together. So these are all the places: Broadway, Fifth Avenue, level sea of asphalt. These are all the places. How we have places here. So these are the places. Now he starts walking. There are two ways. One is the Broadway and the other is Fifth Avenue. So he takes the Broadway and he takes a turn and he stops at a luxurious coffee. A very decent cafeteria is there. A very decent restaurant is there. You know, it is a very luxurious with full of lights and proper, you know, space and everything. So he stops there. Then we'll see what happens. Now, Soapy had confidence in himself from the lowest button of his vest upward. Just a minute, somebody has entered. Yes, I have admitted. I am seeing your chats. I have admitted. I have started the recording also. So let's go back. Now we are seeing Soapy. He was lying on the bench, and then he gets up from there and starts walking. Strolling means he started walking, and then he takes the Broadway road, and then there he sees a luxurious cafeteria, a cafe, and he stops there. Now we'll see what happens, why he has stopped there near the cafeteria, which is very luxurious, which is very hi-fi kind of place where, you know, rich people uh, visit usually. So let us see what he's planning now. Oh God, please, students, enter, come soon to the class because we are wasting too much of time. Okay. Now we'll see what happens when he takes the Broadway, the road, and he takes a turn and he stopped at a luxurious cafe. Soapy had confidence in himself from the lowest button of his vest upward. So see now what the writer is telling, that Soapy is confident now. He has, there's confidence from the lowest button, means from the lowest button of the coat to the upper button of the coat. So the part above the waist, okay, the part above the waist, he had confidence in that part. Why? We will see. He was well shaven. He had shaved properly. His coat was trimmed. There were no creases on the coat. His coat was neat. He was the coat was also have fitting good, and his neat black bow. Yes, bow kind of tie, or that bow which usually worn by the people. So he has a black bow had been presented to him by a lady missionary on Thanksgiving Day. Now, Thanksgiving Day is the fourth Thursday of November. This is a festival which is celebrated in the Western countries in the month of November. It is the fourth Thursday, marked by religious observances and traditional meals. So, Thanksgiving Day is a kind of festival where they pray and they eat food, some traditional meals and all. So now he's worn a very neat coat. He's clean shaven. He has worn a bow also. And the bow had been given to him by a lady missionary. A lady missionary means maybe a nun or maybe some, person from the religious mission. This was given to him as the gift. If only he could reach a table in the restaurant unsuspected, success would be his. That means, I told you this is a very luxurious cafeteria, and usually rich people come over there. But now what is he saying? If he could reach the table without any suspicion or without any suspicious looks by the waiters, then that would be his success. Because the part above the waist, he has worn cotton, proper coat and everything, but the portion of him that would show above the table would raise no doubt in the waiter's mind. I told you, only the upper part of his body, it has been maintained properly with a proper coat, proper button, no creases on the coat, and everything perfect. He has put a bow also. So that part would not raise any doubt in the waiter's mind. He will be appearing as a very rich man, so there won't be any doubts in the mind of the waiter. Now see what he is deciding. A roasted mallard duck, thought Soapy, would be about the thing with a bottle of wine and then some cheese, a cup of coffee and a cigar. So all these things he's going to order. He's going to order a mallard duck. Mallard duck is a kind of a roasted duck, you can say. It is a species of ducks. Then he's going to order a bottle of wine also, some cheese, a cup of coffee also he's going to drink, and he's going to order a cigarette also, cigar. Then he thinks $1 for the cigar would be enough. Yes, maximum $1 he will need for the cigar, and that would he would manage, he thinks. Then see what is he thinking. Somebody's there in the waiting room, just a minute. So remember the first attempt of Soapy. He's taken the Broadway, and he has entered the luxurious cafe, and now he's sitting there. The upper part means now he's sitting, so the part which is visible to the waiter, so the upper part is very decent. He has worn a proper coat, a, a proper bow is there, he has worn that. And then he decides to order a malad duck, a cup of coffee, a bottle of wine, and he says $1 he will manage. And now see what is he thinking? The total would not be so high as to call forth any extreme of revenge from the cafe management. So he's saying the total bill is not so high that there will be some kind of revenge that will be taken by the management. So it is not very high. The bill which would come after his meals would not be very high. That would create some problem by the management, cafe management. And yet the meat would leave him filled and happy for the journey to his winter island. So he's saying, if I have my meals properly, if I eat the duck and all, if I have the coffee and wine, so he will get energy because he's very hungry, and that would give him energy, and his stomach will be filled, and he will be happy going towards the winter island. Now, please remember, Winter Island is not some a picnic place, but Winter Island is the prison. Okay, it is the name of the prison. So remember his first attempt, how he has entered how he has taken the Broadway, how he has entered the luxurious cafe, how is his appearance. He is wearing a neat coat, which is well trimmed, and he's clean shaven. He has worn a neat black bow and everything. The lower part is not very clean and all. He has maintained only the upper part so that the waiter will not suspect him, or anyone else in the restaurant or cafe will not suspect him. And he has ordered all these things, the duck and all those things. Now we'll see what happens here. But as Sophie set foot inside the restaurant door, now this he's standing there and thinking. Okay, he's standing outside the cafe and he's thinking. Now he has entered the restaurant door. The head waiter's eye fell upon his tattered trousers and decadent shoes. Means his trousers are torn, they are tattered, they are in poor condition. Even his shoes are also old and torn. So you actually one thing we have to remember, that the waiters in such big restaurants and big cafes, they are very they have that kind of instinct ki who's rich and who's poor and who's a beggar and all those things. So the same thing happens here. The head waiter immediately looks at Soapy's torn trousers and shoes. I fell upon means noticed. He looked at the poor condition. The upper part was okay, but the lower condition clearly showed his poor poverty, his poor condition. Now see what happens. Strong and ready hands, means the strong hands of the head waiter, turned him about and conveyed him in silence and haste to the sidewalk and averted the ignoble fate of the menaced mallard. So what happens? Actually, the head waiter comes near him, and then he holds Soapy, and he takes him, convey him silently and quickly to the sidewalk. Sidewalk means to the footpath, to the pavement which was outside the cafe, and averted means and moved the ignoble fate of the menaced mallard. Means here O. Henry wants to say, see, there is a kind of humor. So O. Henry is saying that the fate of the duck was saved because it didn't go in the hands of Soapy. The ignoble means the dishonorable fate of the duck, means which Soapy was going to eat. That fate was averted. It was moved. So the first chance of Soapy to make some mischievous attempt fails. He is neither able to sit there nor eat the duck. The head waiter comes him and drives him out of the restaurant. So the first attempt is failed. Soapy turned off Broadway. He comes to the other road from the Broadway. It seemed that his route to the coveted means, destined, means desired island, a desired place. He wanted to go to the Winter Island. Remember the name of the prison, the place. It seemed that his route to the coveted island was not to be an easy one. It is not at all easy, he thinks now, because the first attempt has failed. It has become futile. He planned so much, but nothing happened. He was thrown out of the restaurant, and now he is walking again. Some other way of entering the limbo must be devised. So he says that I should, plan something else now. Now, what is limbo? Limbo is the border place between heaven and hell. Actually, in the Bible, limbo is the place between heaven and hell. But here, limbo means the prison. So he's thinking that he has to do some other mischievous act to go to the prison. Pehla act to fail ho gaya. He could not go in the restaurant. He had planned to order so many things, and later on he was not going to pay the bill. And he thinks that the waiters or the management of the cafe will handle over him to the police, and he can go to the prison. But the first idea fails. And please remember, limbo here is the winter island, the prison. And he says that the way to the prison is not easy. Coveted means the desired. He wanted to go to the prison, but that way is not easy. So he's planning something else. Now we'll see his second plan. Now he's going to the other road at the corner of 6th Avenue. 6th Avenue is the another road. Electric lights and cunningly displayed wares behind plate glass made a shop window attractive. Now, usually when you go to shopping places and all, you will see that usually the things are displayed, displayed outside, and beautiful lights are put on that. And similarly, he sees a shop here where the electric lights are displaying the different wares, maybe the silver and golden articles, or maybe some you can say beautiful things have been displayed in the showcase there. Now he sees this at the 6th Avenue. Sophie took a stone and dashed it through the glass. Without any delay, what he does, he picks up a stone and he hurls it on the glass pane of the showcase of that shop. So remember his second attempt. He goes to the 6th Avenue. He sees that the different wares have been displayed with electric lights, and he picks up a stone and he throws that stone and breaks the glass. People came running around the corner, a policeman in the lead. So all the people came running out. Who has hit this stone? Who has broken this glass? And there was a big, chaos there, and people come running out, and the policeman is also in front of them. But Soapy stood still with his hands in his pockets and smiled at the sight of brass buttons. Now here, see, whenever you make a crime, you try to run away. Or whenever we do some mistake, we try to run away. But here, Soapy has done this crime, but he's still happily standing there. He's standing still without any movement. He has put his hands in the pocket, and moreover, he's smiling at the policeman. Brass buttons means the policeman who's wearing that coat with brass buttons. Where is the man that done that? Inquired the officer agitatedly, angrily. Nervously, the policeman asked Soapy, where is the man who has done this? Have you seen him? So see what Soapy replies. Don't you think that I might have had something to do with it? So Soapy says, don't you think I have done that? I must have done that. Don't you think that way? Said Soapy with a friendly voice as one greets good fortune. Now see the way he is speaking to the policeman, he's speaking with a smile on his face, and his voice is very gentle, very friendly, and he's speaking as if he's greeting and giving good wishes to the policeman. So this was something very weird. The policeman doesn't suspect him. The policeman refused to accept Soapy even as a clue. Means policeman ko aisa laga ki this man, it is impossible for this man to do this. He's looking so gentle, he's speaking so friendly, and he's greeting so well. So how can such person do this crime? So the policeman refuses to catch hold of Soapy. Not only that, he even refuses to consider him as a clue, as a possibility. Men who smash windows do not remain to chat with the police. Yes, people who smash the windows, who break the windows of the shops, of the shopping centers and all, they don't chat with the police and they don't stand there. They run away. They take to their heels. I mean, they run away from that site. They escape from that site. The policeman saw a man halfway down the block running to catch a car. But just near the incidents, there is another man who's running. And that poor man is actually running to catch a car. But the policeman thinks that he is the same man who has broken the window, who has smashed the window. So the policeman runs behind the other man who's running to catch the car, and he leaves Soapy there. The policeman saw a man halfway down the block running to catch a car. With drawn club, means with that stick, he joined in the pursuit. He started running behind that man. Soapy, with disgust in his heart, drifted along, twice unsuccessful. So, two chances were unsuccessful. He went away. Now, he's very, very sad because he had already thought that the way to the winter island was not an easy one. The place to the limbo was not an easy one. So both the attempts of these mischievous acts have failed. First one as the at the prestigious cafe, and the second place near the shop where he smashed the glass or the window of that showcase, which where the wares were displayed with beautiful lights. So remember, first two attempts and both were unsuccessful. They were not successful. He failed in both the attempts, in both the mischievous acts, in both the crimes. Please remember, he is thirsting to go to the prison. He is eager to go back to the prison. His main motive is to go to the prison so that he will get shelter, he will get food there, and he will get some friends also to just pass the time. But none of the things is in his favor. He's been remaining unsuccessful in all these attempts. Now we'll see the next attempt. What is he going to plan, and will he be successful? So let's go. On the opposite side of the street was a restaurant of no great pretensions. Now there is opposite side of the street. He sees another restaurant, but this restaurant is an ordinary one, where middle class people they go to this restaurant. So it was of no great pretension, means it was not very luxurious. It was very ordinary restaurant. Now let us see what is he planning. It catered to large appetites and modest purses. That means, you can get good quantity of food here at not very costly, which are affordable for your purses, for your pockets. Means kind of poor or middle class people can have enough food here, and the food is also not very costly. So he decides to go to in this restaurant. Its crockery and atmosphere were thick, its soup and napery thin. Okay, so crockery means all those wares, the cups and all, the glasses and all, and the atmosphere was thick here. That means it was a well-to-do place. It was not very bad also. It was a good place, and it would be affordable for the middle class people. Into this place, Soapy betook himself. No, Soapy go inside. Betook means he went inside. He went inside this restaurant without any challenge. Means without any this thing, what we can say, without any fear or without any inhibitions in his mind. He goes and sits on the table. At the table he sat and consumed beef stick, flapjacks. Flapjacks is a kind of sweet dessert, donuts and pie. Now he has ordered all these things. He has ordered a beef stick. Beef stick means maybe mutton or flesh thing item. Flapjacks is also a sweet dessert. Then he has ordered donuts and he has ordered pie. And then he told the waiter the fact that the minutest coin and himself were total strangers. Now, after having the meal, when the waiter comes and gives him the cash memo, so what Soapy says? Soapy says that the minutest coin and himself were totally strangers. Means one naya paisa also he doesn't has in his pocket. He says, we both are strangers. एक पैसा भी नहीं है मेरे पास. पैसा और मैं, we are strangers. We don't know each other. Means he wants to tell that he has not a single penny in his pocket. दूर दूर का रिश्ता नहीं है मेरा और पैसे का. We are total strangers. That means he didn't had money in his pocket. Whereas he has ordered so many things and he has already eaten that. Now get busy and call a cop. Now see, Soapy himself is telling that waiter, no, hurry up, hurry up. Go and call the cop now. See, I've eaten food here and I'm not going to pay the bill. So better go and call the police quickly. Hurry up, he says. And don't keep a gentleman waiting. And see, don't keep me waiting. Hurry up. Now see the reply. No cop for you, said the waiter, with a voice like butter cakes and an eye like the cherry in the Manhattan cocktail. Hey, con. Now he says, this man is, his voice is so good. It is so soft. This waiter with a very soft voice and who has eyes like the cherry in the Manhattan cocktail, means a kind of dish where, usually on the deserts, you see those cherries which are kept kind of decoration on the desert. So the waiter was a gentleman. So what he says, no, no policeman for you. He feels pity. He thinks that this man is a beggar. Now, as he has eaten the food, so let it be. Let us excuse him. So he says, okay, nearly upon his left ear, on the very hard, callous pavement, two waiters pitched Soapy. Now, two of the waiters, what they do, they catch hold of this Soapy and they throw him on the pavement. Now the third attempt is also failed. When he himself is telling the waiter to call the police, but the waiters feel pity on him. They consider him as a hungry beggar and they draw him, they throw him out on the pavement, on the footpath. Callous means very hard floor. Two waiters pitched Soapy. Pitched means they throw him literally out of the restaurant. So remember, the first attempt was in the luxurious cafe. The second one was at the shopping mall, shopping place. And the third one was a, not very prestigious kind of restaurant, not very rich restaurant. It was an ordinary where even middle class people can afford and they can have good amount of food there and tasty food. Again, the third attempt is failed of going to the winter island. He arose, means he got up, he was thrown on the footpath. Now he gets up, joint by joint, joint by joint, as a carpenter's rule opens and dusted his clothes. Now, usually, carpenter, we say sutar. Carpenters have those, measuring tapes which have folds. They can be moved in different angles. So now he is arising. He has been thrown away. So he's getting up slowly and steadily like the carpenter's ruler. And then he stands straight, carpenter's ruler, which is foldable ruler. So he gets up, he dusts his clothes, and he says he thinks arrest seemed now but an elusive dream. Getting arrested by the police, going to the prison now has become very difficult. It has literally become a dream. Third attempt has also failed. The island seemed far away. So he says that the prison now, the way to the prison, I don't think I will go be put in the prison now. It seems for him for a very long way. Kathin rasta hai to the winter island. A policeman who stood before a drugstore 2 doors away laughed and walked down the street. Even the policeman who was standing there outside that restaurant, even he didn't suspect him why he has been thrown out of the restaurant. He's watching all this, but even he laughs at Soapy and he goes away. Soapy was seized with a sudden fear that some dreadful enchantment had rendered him immune to arrest. Now, Soapy is in a kind of, he's become very anxious and he's very sad. He says that something has made him, some enchantment, some magic has been spelt on him. And that is why he is not being arrested by the police. The policemen are just, leaving him. What is the matter? Why are they not catching him? Is there any magic spelt on him? He was in a state of panic. Yes, he's very scared now, because how will he spend his night in the cold, severe cold outside? None of the attempts was, he could go to the, he was could put in the prison. He's panic now, he's anxious, he's wondering what to do now. And when he came upon another policeman lounging gladly in front of glittering theater, he caught at the immediate straw of disorderly conduct. Now he has come ahead. Okay. Now he sees a policeman who's walking grandly there. Maybe he is guarding that place. He's taking a round to see if there are any, thieves or criminals, or if there is any criminal act is going on, a kind of watchman. So the policeman is watching all the places. And now when he sees the policeman, an idea strikes Soapy's mind. He caught at the immediate straw of disorderly conduct. Means he wanted to do something weird, okay, so that the policeman will catch him. Disorderly conduct means some mischief, like, shouting loudly or running here and there, kind of some misbehavior he wanted to do there. Disorderly conduct is behavior, so that the that police who's, taking us walking over there will catch him. So maybe he started shouting loudly on the sidewalk. Soapy began to yell drunken gibberish at the top of his harsh voice. Yes, he started shouting as if he's drunk heavily. We usually see drunken people, they keep on shouting and they keep on abusing unnecessarily. They raise their hands because they are they are not in a normal state. And the same thing happens here. Soapy starts shouting. Gibberish means some nonsense things at the top of his harsh voice. With high pitched voice, he starts shouting on that silent road where the policeman is patrolling. He's taking round there. He danced, he howled, he shouted, he raved, and otherwise disturbed the skies. He made a, started running, started dancing, shouting, whatever possible. He started doing all the things. He disturbed the skies means there was nobody around, and he was just shouting, looking at the sky, and making that place disturbed. The policeman merely twirled his club, turned around to him, turned his back to Soapy, and remarked to a citizen. Now, the policeman who's walking there, he turns around and he talks to another citizen. And what he says, see, it is one of them Yale lads celebrating the goose egg they give to the Hartford College. Noisy, but no harm. We have instructions to let them be. Now, here the policeman is telling that citizen that this must be some, kind of boy. Usually such boys, they make, they shout and they try to disturb the surroundings. Maybe he's from the student of the Yale University, and he must be, celebrating a victory. That's why he's shouting and dancing, you know, and maybe celebrating the goose egg they give to the Hartford College. Means he must have uh, not scored good marks. He must be sad, and that's why he's, putting out all his emotions. Maybe of his failure or something like that. So these boys from the Yale University, they usually do this, and they're very noisy, but they're not harmful. So we have been instructed, we have been told that if you come across such boys from the Yale University shouting and dancing, so we are set to leave them. We are told not to arrest these boys. And so that policeman doesn't arrest Soapy. So the fourth attempt also fails. Disconsolate means very sad, very happy. Very unhappy, very sad. Soapy stopped his unavailing racket, means useless shouting. He was shouting there on the road, and when the policeman didn't bother to catch him, he stopped shouting. Would never a policeman lay hands on him? Now he's thinking, koi mujhe pakadega ya nahi? I'm doing so many things. Will the policeman will arrest me or not? In his fancy, the island seemed an unattainable Arcadia. In his fancy means in his thoughts. He was thinking that the prison is like Arcadia. Now, what is Arcadia? It is a mountainous district in the southern Greece. In poetic fantasy, it represents a pastoral paradise. Yes, it is a kind of mythical place in Greece. It is called as Arcadia. Like a place where it is a mythical place. Usually, it is taken in the poetries and all to be a pastoral place, a paradise, a heaven. Now he's thinking that the prison is like it has become like Arcadia, which cannot be attained, which cannot be attainable, where he cannot go. So remember, Arcadia is nothing but a mythical place. It is a kind of paradise, which is usually poets use these things in the poetries and all. Now he's comparing the prison to Arcadia, and now thinks that it is impossible. It has become like going to Arcadia. I don't think any policeman will catch me and put me in the prison. He buttoned his thin coat against the chilling wind. Yes, I told you there is chilling wind outside. Now he's buttoning his coat so that he could protect from the wind. Let us go further to the cigar store. In a cigar store, he saw a well-dressed man lighting a cigar at the swinging light. Kind of lantern, and there's a man. There's a cigar store, and a man is he's smoking a cigar, and he had set his silk umbrella by the door on entering. Now Soapy sees this man who's smoking a cigar, and this man has kept his silver umbrella at the entrance of the shop. Soapy stepped inside, grabbed the umbrella, and sauntered off with it slowly. The man at the cigar light followed hastily. Now see what Soapy does. Arey isne ye chhata idhar rakha hai. So he decides to steal that silk umbrella. So Soapy goes there, he takes that silk umbrella, and he starts walking slowly. He doesn't run. Soapy is walking slowly, and when this man sees, the man also starts following quickly behind Soapy. My umbrella, he said sternly. That man says, angrily he says, oh, hey man, that is my umbrella. Oh, is it? Sneered Soapy. Means like very sarcastically laughing. He says, oh, is it? Okay, okay, is it yours? Adding insult to pity larceny. Larceny means that, theft which he has committed of that personal property. So he's laughing, he's smiling at that man. And oh, so sorry, it is yours. Well, why don't you call a policeman? I took it. Your umbrella. Why don't you call a cop? There stands one on the corner. Now it is so funny how a thief can tell to call a policeman. So what Soapy is doing? Soapy is telling that man, Acha, this umbrella belongs to you. So see, I'm taking this. I'm robbing your umbrella. So why don't you call that policeman? See that the policeman is standing over there. And I've taken your umbrella. Why don't you call him? Call him, call him. The umbrella owner slowed his steps. Now he was in haste. Now he started walking slowly. Soapy did likewise with a premonition. Premonition means, a strong feeling that something is about to happen. Something is going to happen now. With that strong feeling that luck would again run against him, the policeman eyed at the two curiously. Now Soapy was thinking, at least this idea should work out. This at least this act of his should put him in the prison. The cop, the policeman who's standing there should catch him. Now see what happens. Of course, said the umbrella man. Well, you know how these mistakes occur if it's your umbrella. I hope you will excuse me. I picked it up this morning in the restaurant. If you recognize it as yours, why I hope you will. Now the man is saying, I'm so sorry. I'm extremely sorry. In the morning, when I was having coffee or something in the restaurant, I saw this umbrella over there. Somebody must have forgotten that. So I picked it up. And I think you must have left that umbrella. I think it belongs to you. So you can take it and excuse me. What a humorous thing. So that's why we have said we have read that O. Henry stories are full of humor. You know, this is a very humorous situation. Now Soapy is running with the umbrella, and that man is saying, oh, that umbrella belongs to you. Even I had picked it up in the morning from a restaurant. Maybe you must have forgotten there. So I'm very sorry. You take your umbrella, no problem. Of course, it's mine, said Soapy savagely. Soapy has become very angry now because this man is neither calling the police nor he's, having any anger over this Soapy. So Soapy is very angry and he says, of course, it's mine. The ex-umbrella man retreated. That man went away. The policeman hurried to assist a tall blonde in an opera cloak across the street in front of a streetcar that was approaching 2 blocks away. Now, the policeman who was hearing to Soapy and that umbrella man, he comes near them. And when the matter is resolved, the policeman goes away and he goes to a blonde. Blonde means a lady with yellow hair, and she's crossing the road. And so this policeman goes near that lady and helps her to cross the road. So the policeman has also gone, the umbrella man also gone, and now Soapy is remained with the umbrella. Soapy walks now. He's very tired. He's very eager to go to the prison, but nothing is working out. Soapy walked eastward to a street damaged by improvements. Means he was walking on the road where some work was going on. Usually we see that things are spread on the road when some road construction or some repairing is going on the road, and the same picture is here. The street is damaged and it is been repaired. He hurled the umbrella angrily into an excavation. There is a pothole on the road, so he throws the umbrella in that pothole and he walks away. He muttered against the man who wear helmets and carry clubs, means against the policemen, against the cops. That these are the useless policemen, they are useless cops who just wear the helmets and who carry the sticks in their hand, and they are not at all good. They are not arresting me. All such thoughts are going on in his brain because he is not been successful in doing any crime, and whenever he has done, he has been left by the policeman because he wanted to fall into their clutches, because he wanted to get arrested by the policeman. They seemed to regard him as a king who could do nothing wrong, and everybody was thinking him to be an innocent, and they left him. They regarded him as a king, means a kind person, a noble person, a person who has not done any crime. They have all considered him in this way and they have left him. So he's become very tired now. Now let us see what happens. At length, Soapy reached one of the avenues to the east where the glitter and turmoil was not faint. Means there was some disturbance going on, there was glittering, shining of lights and all at one of the buildings. He dragged himself towards Madison Square. Now Madison Square is also another square, a place, how we say choke. Square is a choke in the road, on the road. So he dragged himself towards the Madison Square. For the homing instinct survives even when the home is a park bench. Now he's saying he dragged himself towards the square, for the homing instinct survives even when the home is a park bench. Now, his home, his house is actually a bench in the park. He has no home. His home is the park where the bench is there. So now he again decides and go and sit there over there on the bench from where he had got up. But on an unusually quiet corner, Soapy came to a standstill. Now he listens something and he stands there, stands still. He was unable to move. Here was an old church. So there was an old church. Quaint means old fashioned, very old church, and rambling and gabled. Rambling means, it had spread irregularly in all the directions. It was constructed with, those gables. Gables are nothing but the triangular upper part of the wall. So the roof, the upper part of the church was like, triangular shape. Through one violet-stained window, a soft light glowed. Through one of the windows of the church, some purple light was coming out, where no doubt the organist loitered over the keys. Means there was a musician, and there was a musician who was playing a musical instrument, and he was playing the keys of that musical instrument, making sure of his mastery of the coming Sabbath anthem. So he was practicing for the Sabbath anthem. Sabbath is a day of again religious observance. It is usually celebrated by the Jews and Christians, and it is also a celebration, Sabbath. So usually the prayer songs are sung during Sabbath. So this man was practicing the Sabbath anthem. He was practicing the Sabbath anthem. For there, drilled out to Soapy's ears sweet music, and Soapy hears that sweet music which was played by this man in the church, that caught and left and held him transfixed against the convolutions of the iron fence. So he stood there and very attentively he was transfixed, means as if he was fixed there, he was glued there, and he was listening to the sweet music which was played by that man. He was playing the Sabbath anthem. He was practicing for the Sabbath day, and Soapy stood there transfixed. He was not able to move ahead because the music was melodious, and he was feeling relieved listening to the prayer song. The moon was above, full and radiant. It was a full moon day. We say Purnima. It was a full moon day, and the moon was very radiant and it was shining. Vehicles and pedestrians were few. There were very few pedestrians, meant people who are walking. Very few people were walking. Vehicles were also very few. Sparrows twittered sleepily in the eaves. Or a little while, the scene might have been a country churchyard. Yes, it was evening time, night, the sparrows and the birds were also in their nest. And now he was in the churchyard, a country churchyard. Country means a village, a rural place. And the anthem that the organist played cemented Soapy to the iron fence. Cemented Soapy means Soapy was fixed there. He was standing standstill. He was transfixed, as if some miracle had taken place. He put his head on the fence, on the iron fence, and meditatively, silently, he was enjoying that anthem. He was enjoying that melodious song which was sung by that man in the church. For he had known it well in the days when his life contained such things as mothers, roses, ambitions, friends, and immaculate thoughts and callers. So he remembers that he had heard this anthem somewhere in his past. And in that past, how was his life? His life was very good. His mother was there besides him. He had good friends. Those were the days of roses, and those were the days of ambitions. Those were the days of good collars, means good clothes, and uh, perfect and tidy thoughts used to be there. Good thoughts used to be there in the mind. And he goes in the past because maybe his childhood was good. Understood? His childhood was good. He must be regularly visiting the church with his mother. He used to be, maybe he used to pray to God, and all were good things in his past. So he remembers his mother, his good old days, his friends, his good dresses, roses. Roses means the conditions were very good in the past. So this anthem takes him to the past. The conjunction means the co-occurrence of Sophie's receptive state of mind and the influence about the old church brought a sudden and wonderful change in his soul. There was a sudden change in his soul, in his mind. His mind had become receptive, and the influence of the church, he was under the influence of God now. He was under the influence of the anthem, and that brought a wonderful change in his mind. He viewed with rising horror the pit into which he had tumbled. Now he's thinking about his present condition, how he came to this condition, how he had fallen in this pit, the horrible pit of crime, the degraded days, the horrible days, the bad days, unworthy desires, dead hopes, wrecked faculties, and base motives that made up his existence. Now he's thinking of all these things, how he had fallen in this pitch, how he was thinking bad, how he did crime, how he wanted to trouble the people, you know, how he did all those physical and, crimes. Now all this are going in his brain. Faculties and motives means his mental ability. He's thinking about all these things. And he's thinking that all these things had made him a criminal. But now he's transformed. He doesn't want to do all these activities. Remember, just a couple of hours, maybe 1 hour back, he was wanted to do crimes. He wanted to commit crimes. In fact, he wanted to do some mischievous activities so that he would be caught by the police. But now this anthem, this Sabbath anthem, this church, this surrounding, this heavenly place, this godly place has changed him. This has brought a complete changeover in his thinking process. He wants to be a pious man. He wants to be a virtuous man now. He don't want to do all those things because of which he had fallen in the pit of crime. And also in a moment, his heart responded thrillingly to the strange mood. Now he's become receptive. He's welcoming the good thoughts in his mind. He's removing the evil thoughts from his mind. His heart is also thrilling now with a strange mood, a very happy mood, a godly thing. A strong impulse moved him to battle with his desperate fact. Yes, he had become very desperate. He had become very hopeless. Abhi koi jagah nahi hai, koi rasta nahi hai. There is no hope in his life. Even he couldn't go to the prison. So all this hopelessness has gone away now. He has stopped battling with these hopeless things. He has got some good aim now because he has changed. The anthem has changed him completely. He wants to do some good things in his life. Maybe he wants to work hard, and maybe he wants to be a good citizen. So let us see what is he thinking. He would pull himself out of this mire, means out of this bad situation. He wants to come out of this horrible, unpleasant situation and would make a man of himself again. Now he wants to become a good man of himself. He wants to erase that criminal background from him. He would conquer the evil that had enslaved him. Literally, he had become the slave of all the evil. Now he wants to restore. He wants to be a good man. He wants to conquer the evil which has taken over him. There was time. He was young yet. He is still young, and there is still enough time to change himself. He would resurrect his old eager ambitions. Resurrect means restore, bring back. We know resurrection of Jesus Christ. On Good Friday, he was crucified, and on the Easter Sunday, on the third day, he resurrected from the grave. He came out. There was the rebirth of Jesus Christ, and that is why Good Fridays are mourning days. And Easter Sunday is the third day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The third day is the celebration. It is the ceremony. It is the festival. It is the great joy because Christ has resurrected from his grave. And similarly, he would resurrect. He would leave all his bad things and he will take a rebirth. He will restore his old eager ambitions and pursue them. Now, he had good ambitions initially, but as he was not successful, he had started committing crime. But now he's saying, now I will come out of all those bad things. I will start a new life. And he will start a new life. And he will start a new life. Those solemn but sweet organ notes had set up a revolution in him. A kind of revolution has been brought by that music, by that anthem. Revolution means kranti, complete change of the mindset. A miracle had took place literally. That anthem had played a miracle on him. He wanted to leave all these bad things, evil things, unpleasant things. He wanted to be a good citizen. He says that he's still young, there is still enough time. He will resurrect his old and ambitious thing, and he will pursue them. He will go back to his ambitions of good things, of good aims, of objectives, good objectives in his life, and he will pursue them. Means he will follow them and he will do something good. The sweet organ notes, the sweet musical notes had brought a revolution in his mind, in him. So what he decides, tomorrow he would go into the roaring downtown district and find work. Roaring means the busy streets, the busy road, the busy city. He will go there and definitely he would find some work there, and he will work hard and he will be a civilized person. This anthem has changed him completely, a criminal to a pious person, to a good man. A fur importer had once offered him a place as driver. So there is a shop in the market, and the shop is of that fur business. There is the importer who imports fur from the other places, and he is having some trucks or some tempos and all. And he had offered a job to Soapy sometimes in the past. So he decides he will go to that fur importer in the market, and he will ask him for the job. He will take the job of a driver, and he would work hard and lead a very virtuous life. He would be somebody in the world. He will not be a criminal. He will be somebody, some good man in the world. He would dash, 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 dash. That he would remains there only. Now see what happens. This is the irony. Student, just imagine the anthem has changed him completely. He was once a criminal, and now student just now see the climax of the lesson. The irony of the lesson, he's thinking now he'll do something good. He will be a good man in the world. He will go to the fur importer. He will get a job. He will not commit any crime. He will do noble things now in his life. But he would remains, he would only. Sophie felt a hand laid, an arm. Suddenly, he feels that somebody has put a arm on his shoulder. Now he looked quickly around into the impassive face of a policeman. Yes, a policeman is standing beside him now, and he sees that expressions on the face of the policeman. What are you doing here? Asked the officer. Hey man, what are you doing here? Nothing, said Sophie. No, I'm doing nothing. Now see here, he's standing innocently. He's under the influence of the anthem. He's thinking of good things. He is wanted to go back to the normalcy, good life. And see what happens here. The policeman comes and asks him, what are you doing here? Nothing, said Sophie. Then come along. The policeman said, then come with me. 3 months on the island, said the magistrate in the police court the next morning. The policeman thinks that Soapy is standing here to do something bad, some evil things. So the policeman says, now come with me. And he takes him to the magistrate office. He is put in the jail in the magistrate's office there. In the night, he stays there. The next morning, he is taken to the court and he is being punished now. The magistrate says, put him 3 months on the island, means in the winter island, in the prison. And Soapy is taken to the prison by O. Henry. Soapy wanted to be free, but he is put in the prison. And in the beginning, when Soapy wanted to be in the prison, he was set free. So this is a beautiful story. So this story tells us, children, that our fate sometimes takes us to somewhere else only. We decide so many things that it is usually said, man proposes, God disposes. You know, we plan something, we do something, we keep some ideals in out front of our eyes, we keep some objectives, we try to work hard, try to go and achieve our aims in our life, but sometimes we are taken to some other destination. And that is what O. Henry wants to tell. And that is why it is said that his stories are full of humor and tears, smile and tears, smile with tears. The whole story, you keep smiling. You know, the humorous situations where Soapy is telling the cops, the policeman, कोई खुद बता रहा है, मुझे पकड़ो, मुझे जेल में डालो. And he's set free. And now when near the church, when he wants to change his life, he decides to be something good in the world. The policeman takes him to the magistrate's office, and the next day, the magistrate sentences him to the jail. Everybody understood this story? Any doubts you have? Any doubts, children? Am I audible?
Yes, no doubt.
Okay, so we'll go to the brainstorming. We'll see the question answers. 1 second. Remember the story of Soapy by O. Henry? Yes, we'll go to the cop and the anthem. We'll go to the question answers and the grammar a little bit. The cop and the anthem. First, we'll see the title. The title does not give any clear idea of the content. Yes, actually, the title is not very clear. Actually, the title should have been The Criminal and the Anthem, something like that. But here, the title is Cop and the Anthem. Cop and the anthem are just nouns. The word cop stands for the policeman and the anthem for a religious song or a prayer song sung in a church. We can just imagine that the text is related to the police and the religious song. If we go through the text, we will get clear idea about the text. From the title, we have some other ideas in our mind, but when we go through the story, then we realize what actually the story is. Now we'll go to the brainstorming activities. Find out the different ways in which Soapy tried to get arrested. What are the different things? First one, Soapy tried to enter a luxurious cafe. Then Soapy took a stone and dashed it through the glass of a shop window where, different things were displayed. Then Soapy ate meal in a common restaurant in a very simple, modest place, which was modest for your pocket also, purse also. So he ate meal in a common restaurant and declared that he had no money to pay the bill. Then fourth place, Soapy yelled like a drunken person. and made noise on the public place. Fifth, Soapy grabbed the umbrella of a person and asked him to call the police. So all these things you have to remember. These things he did to get arrested. Okay. Describe the atmosphere when Soapy reached near the church. A soft light glowed through the violet-stained window. Yes, a violet light was coming out, was through the window of the church. It was a quiet corner with an old church, quaint, rambling, and gabled. The church was quiet. It was old, and it had triangular shaped roof, and it was a very silent place. The moon was there, full radiant. It was a full moon day. It was creating some brightness over the church, and the sparrows twittered sleepily. It was the twilight evening time. Even the sparrows also, they twittered, means they made chirping noise. In the eaves, in the country churchyard, so there was silent everywhere. It was a country churchyard, and this is how you can describe the place of the church. Now read the story and match the incidents. So we will see Soapy tried to enter a cafe because Soapy had confidence in himself, because the portion of him, sorry, wait 1 second. Soapy tried to enter a cafe. Strong and ready hands of the head waiter turned him round. Yes, when he entered the cafe, he was thrown out by the strong hands of the head waiter. Soapy broke a glass window. The cop ran after another man. Yes, when Soapy broke the window, the cop ran after another man who was running behind a car. Two waiters pitched Soapy, means they held Soapy on the callous pavement. They threw him. Pitch means they threw him. So what he did, he stood up slowly, beating the dust from his clothes like the carpenter's roll, foldable roll. Soapy heard the anthem being played in the church. Suddenly, a wonderful change came in his heart. He was transformed. He was now a good man, wanted to be a virtuous man. Cop arrests Soapy for hanging around, for moving around. Dream of turning around in life was shattered. Dream of becoming a good man, dream of becoming a civilized citizen, dream of working hard in life and earn with your hard work was shattered. It remained a dream. He was put in the prison in the Winter Island. Now give reasons and complete the following. Soapy had confidence in himself because the portion of him that would show above the table was neat. Yes, he was wearing a good coat, a trimmed coat. He was good shaven. He had worn a black bow. He was looking a thorough gentleman. And when he will sit on the table, the upper part will not bring any kind of doubt in the waiter's mind because he will be appearing as a gentleman. There won't be any doubt because the lower part will not be visible when he will sit on at the table. So he was confident. The head waiter of the luxurious cafe did not allow Soapy to enter because you remember the head waiter looks at his tattered trousers, he looks at his worn out shoes. So when Soapy set foot inside, when he entered the restaurant door, the head waiter's eye immediately fell upon his tattered trousers, torn trousers, old trousers, and his decadent shoes, old shoes, torn out shoes. The head waiter looks at this and then he is suspected to be some beggar or vagabond, and the head waiter comes and throws him out of the luxurious cafe. The cop did not arrest Soapy for breaking the glass because, according to the cop, men who smash the windows, they do not remain. They don't stand there and they don't chat with the police. Itna to daring unme nahi hoga. They will run away from the police. But here Soapy is standing and he's greeting the police. He is speaking so softly. He is, becoming how a person can confess his own crime. And that's why the cop did not arrest Soapy. So the cop did not arrest Soapy for shouting and dancing silent public place because considered he considered Soapy as the young person coming from a party at the Hartford College. Yes, the policeman thinks that he is a Yale University student and he must have come from the Hartford College and he must be celebrating, maybe his success or maybe his failure, and that's why he's shouting and running around. And the policeman had the instructions to neglect these young persons. उनको order मिला था, if you find some students who are shouting and yelling on the roadside, don't arrest them, just leave them. And that is why the cop did not arrest Soapy, because the cop felt that Soapy may be a Yale University student and he has come partying from the Hartford College. Next question. Pick out the lines from the text which show that Soapy wants to enter the cafe for two reasons. Yes, the cafe catered to large appetites. It was modest purses. This line tells us that it was a restaurant for the middle class. Now get busy and call a cop, said Soapy, and don't keep a gentleman waiting. So these are the two reasons. This remaining part we will discuss in the next class. Students, the remaining part, just remind me to continue this with the next part and then we'll go to the next story. Everybody understood? We are going to complete the brainstorming in the next class.
Yes.
Please remember, because such type of comprehension passages are asked for your exams. Unknown passages also asked. So you have to read the passage carefully. You have to understand the story which is given in the comprehension passages in the exams and solve the questions correctly. It is very easy, but you have to read the passages carefully. Remember this, these comprehension passages are given for the practice only. So sometimes they ask you the meanings, sometimes they ask you the reasons, sometimes they ask you whether it is true or false, sometimes they may ask you to complete the sentences, vocabulary, sometimes they give the meaning and then they ask you the word which relates to this meaning in the passage. So all these things, they may ask you to, match the pairs also. They may ask you to make a noun, to make a verb, to make an adjective, all these things. So remember, this is how the passages are there in the exams also. Please remind me to continue with the brainstorming of the cop and the anthem in the next class, and then we will go to the next lesson. Okay, then bye everyone. Take care and thank you. I will end the meeting. We will continue in the next class. We'll continue with the brainstorming and then we'll go to the next story.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye and take care. Yes, thank you everyone.